Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly, and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, we're going to be diving in and reaffirming why I believe $250,000 per Bitcoin is going to be where we're headed by the end of the year. I think it's really important that we talk about this because a lot of people have actually been asking me, if that's actually too high, if that's an unreasonable price to expect by the end of the year, considering how there's only a few months left until we actually get that projected cycle top. I wanted to talk to you guys about really how I've came up with these targets, why I think that the price structure itself today actually shows and reflects that we will be seeing a massive rally coming into Bitcoin, and why the people that are willing to hold until the end of the year, the people that aren't going to be selling too early, are going to set themselves up to make the most money possible. Most people are going to sell too early, with a vast majority of people also refusing to sell at the end of the cycle. And today's video is going to reaffirm some of the theses that I've talked about in prior videos to make sure that we stay on the most profitable path possible by the end of the year. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Always remember to click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos like the one provided for you here. And make sure you guys sign up and join the Discord server of over 21,000 members and growing. Links are provided for you in the description for the people that want to join and sign up for my community. On top of that, if you're new, just getting into these markets and you want extra educational content to be more profitable inside the markets, you guys can download my free ebook and beginner's guide to crypto that I know is going to help you guys out tremendously. So check it out. Links are provided for you in the description. And with all that being said, guys, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, so for today's video, we're going to be covering Bitcoin. We're going to be reaffirming some of my analysis that I've talked about on why I believe we're going to see the biggest altcoin in crypto pump that we've ever seen, and why Bitcoin is going to be closing out the end of this year at about $250,000 per Bitcoin. We're going to talk about this because there's actually been a pretty big analyst that has come out and said that he's projecting a $72,000 to $75,000 Bitcoin top, and then that will be the beginning of alt season. Now, this guy's highly respected. He's a great analyst inside of the markets, but I want to talk to you guys about why I actually think that we're going to be going much higher than that, and why I don't necessarily agree with that thesis. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, cover this, talk about this. Do I really think that it's going to top this early? Are we not even going to top it, over 80K, like this analyst says, or are we going to continue to extend like I've talked about? So I wanted to kind of pick and choose between the two theses, talk about, why I believe we're going to go up much higher than that, and analyze the basic price structure that we're seeing right now to give you guys a clearer understanding of why I do believe that that's going to be the case. So first things first, guys. I don't mean any sort of discrimination towards this guy. Yes, we disagree, but analysts are going to disagree over and over again. At the end of the day, if you're taking profits and you earn a profit, you're right, and that's just the way it goes. I might be able to come out here and say that, oh, this analysis is wrong because we're going to go up a lot higher, and whether we do or whether we don't, at the end of the day, whoever's earning a profit is ultimately right. And so you can be right in your own way, but I just personally believe that we're going to go a lot higher than $72,000 to $75,000 per Bitcoin before the end of this bull cycle. And this is why I kind of wanted to talk about this in today's video, because I know a lot of people watch this guy, and a lot of people have been asking me, should I sell a bunch at this same price target that he's expecting? And at the end of the day, guys, it's your own choice. You guys obviously do what you want, but I'm going to explain to you guys why I think it's best to hold and why we're going to go up a lot higher than that. And if you sell at those price targets, you're going to miss out on a lot of profit on the table. Now, here's the thing, guys. We've been rallying for a long time, right? Us making a new all-time high and you selling into a new all-time high and you're earning a profit from holding down here, that's a win, regardless, right? But I believe that if we hold a little bit longer, we're going to be able to fully capitalize and maximize our profit potential as we come up closer towards the end of the year. And so I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how I think that I'm going to get this target of 250K, why I think that we're going to be hitting upwards of that level, and why the people that sell too early are going to regret it, because this thing's going to go up a lot higher than most people expect. It always does. Now, something to talk about here. In the last cycle, all the way back here in 2017, I remember a lot of people tried to call tops throughout this period of time. A lot of you guys probably know who Peter Brandt is. Peter Brandt is one of the OG traders. It's been around for the legacy markets forever and ever and ever. Everybody knows of him in crypto. Well, he tried to call tops throughout this entire period of time. Every single time we had a major impulse into new all-time highs, the guy was here to call tops. Now, even though he called the top of the Bitcoin cycle at 20K, he called tops throughout this entire period of time. And so this is something that's going to happen. A lot of people leading up towards the end of the cycle, they're going to say, oh, this spot right here is where it's going to top. This is the end of the cycle. This is what I think is going to happen, right? My 250K target is kind of the same thesis. But here's the thing. Almost all the people that are going to be trying to call tops throughout their entire rally at the end of the cycle are going to be wrong. And that's just the way it works. The markets are going to go lower than you expect, and they're going to go higher than you expect. And that's generally the rule of thumb that crypto sticks to. And so it's important that we understand this going into the final rally so that we don't get stuck simply taking profits too early. Because in my opinion, guys, I've always been here on this channel to help get as close to the cycle top as we possibly can. I've spent a lot of money in courses, paid a lot of money in mentorship to help me get the tools needed to actually sell pretty close to that top. And I'm here to tell you guys, with everything that I know, as confident as I am with my 250K target for Bitcoin at the end of the year, I firmly believe that we're going to go way higher than, 100K per Bitcoin. I believe we're going to far surpass that. And I'm going to explain to you guys exactly why. Now, first things first, let's dive into the shorter time frames here, and let's talk about this most recent move that we're seeing and really what's happening for Bitcoin right now. Now, here's the thing, guys. This move that we saw here, remember we bottomed over here at, approximately 29,000. This was the low that we set in right here. And from about 29,000, we rallied all the way up to about 53,000 before having this little short-term correction. Now, the thing I want you guys to remember inside of this move, this was simply our first impulse, right? Now, I analyze Elliott wave theory as a way to give us the most clear indication of where we're at in the cycle, how much further we still have to go. And this is the way the Elliott wave count actually works. This was our first wave. When we capitulated down here at 29, we came pretty close to retesting that, maintained a higher high. And then for wave 3, you can draw this a couple different ways. In my opinion, wave 3 is probably right here. And then we get a final wave 5. Now, what followed after that is a classic A, B, C correction, right? So what this means is this entire impulse that we saw from the lows of 29K up to 53 and back down was simply our one wave impulse. We've only had one impulse inside of this move. And so when I would talk about why I believe we're going to go up a lot higher than most people expect, a lot of it has to do with what we've already seen inside of this cycle. Now, one of the ways in which you analyze Elliott wave theory is wave 3 has to be at least the same size as wave 1, but as a rule of thumb, it's usually bigger than wave 1. In fact, a lot of times it's actually double the size of wave 1. So this next move that we're going to be expecting to see inside of Bitcoin, in my opinion, will get pretty close to taking us upwards of 100K. In fact, it might be about 90K in which we start moving upwards before any sizable type of correction actually takes place. And then still to come will be a final 5-wave impulse, right? Because we're at the very, very early stages of this. Now, the way that you analyze this is you draw from the low of the wave to the high and back to the midpoint of that sell-off, right? So we have to go to at least the 1618 for this wave 3 to be the same size as wave 1, right? As a rule of thumb, wave 3 can never be smaller than wave 1, so we have to go to at least the 1618 for this to be a confirmed wave. So if on the very low target, if Bitcoin does as subpar as possible, it has a tiny little impulse, wave 3 is just garbage for the most part, we're going to be going upwards of about 80K per Bitcoin. In fact, I think the exact number is going to be about 70,500. And so that is going to be our low end estimate. We have to go to at least 78,000 before this wave 3 is done. Now, if that was the worst case scenario, Bitcoin corrects most likely back down to the previous all-time high at about 65K. And then we're still going to get another 5-wave impulse, which generally will be about the same size at least. If wave 1 and wave 3 are the same size, I'd expect wave 5 to be pretty close to that same size. And so you're looking at a pretty low-end target of about the $100,000 level. This is the very worst case scenario for Bitcoin based off of Fibonacci. Based off of what we're seeing with the Elliott wave impulses, if Bitcoin is to do the least amount possible, which this wave 5 could technically even go lower than that, I would say Bitcoin's going to at least $90,000. And that's the worst case scenario. Bitcoin loses all hype in the blow off top, which, obviously is not indicative of a blow off top. Blow off tops are where the most euphoria steps into the market, the most greed takes place, where the prices are just going vertical, super parabolic. And so for Bitcoin to top, inside of its next Elliott wave impulse, it would, in my opinion, go to at least $90,000 before that. And so to talk about the potential of us topping before 80K, I just simply think that isn't going to happen, because the technicals of the Elliott wave is simply pointing that we're going to be going up a lot higher than that. Now let's talk about what I think is likely here. So for the next impulse, wave 1 was here. Wave 3 is oftentimes double. So double would take us all the way up here to the 2618. So if we get the same, if we get the average type of Elliott wave impulse that takes place where it doubles the size of wave 1, we're looking at 100K Bitcoin in the next move. We'd probably correct back down to about 80K approximately, and then we still have one more final 5 wave left to go. And so you're looking at over $100,000 per Bitcoin, no matter which way you really try and stack this up. If it's the worst case scenario, 90 to 100K. Best case scenario, we end up just far surpassing all of this. And so the thing to understand here, guys, is when we analyze the technical setup based off of Elliott wave theory, which is what I oftentimes do, we know that worst case scenario, we're going to be hitting somewhere around 100K. And I believe we're going to go a lot higher than that. And one of my big reasons for actually believing why we go so much higher than that is simply analyzing what has happened in the last cycles, right? There's been a pattern that plays out every single bull cycle for Bitcoin. And if we come over here and actually analyze that bull cycle, I want to talk about that right here. So when we analyze from the low and the beginning of wave 3 all the way to the top of wave 3, so this was wave 3, from here up to here, and then we measure to the low point of the correction, which was here, at about $53. This is where we're going to see a pattern that is repeated every single cycle. And why I believe that in this final impulse with the blow off top, we're going to be seeing this pattern replicated once again. Now, before people jump on my throat by saying, hey, you got to set the setting for Fibonacci, or you got to set the fib settings for a log scale. I'm not using the Fibonacci log scale because the entire reason I got these targets was from a linear scale, right? And it follows the same thing. Whether I put this on log scale or whether I put it on linear, it follows the same exact fib extensions. And if you actually drew, if you put the settings in here for a log chart, it's going to fractal this thing infinitely, and it's not going to happen. It's literally stupid to do that. So I don't follow the logarithmic settings inside of the fib chart because of the fact I'm looking at this chart from a linear perspective. I'm just putting it on a log scale to help you guys easier see what the heck I'm talking about. So here's something that you guys need to understand here. Where Bitcoin tops in its cycle is somewhere between the 3618 and the 4236. So we're literally looking at a cycle top somewhere along the lines of right here, right? That's what we saw replicated in this first 2013 cycle. We saw Bitcoin rally all the way up here and tag the 4236 before its bear cycle actually started. Now, the same thing can be said inside of the 2017 cycle. If we analyze from the beginning of wave 3, which starts right here at $750, all the way to the top of wave 3 that ends at about 5K, back down to the midway point of the sell-off, we once again see this exact same pattern play out once again. The only difference is this one ends up bottoming somewhere in between the middle. We don't go all the way up to the 4236, but we still end up topping, in between both of the 4236 and the 3618. So we followed this same exact rule of thumb inside of this wave 5. And we can use Fibonacci as a way to kind of give us clear indication as to where we're going to be stopping. So over the course of the last 10 years for Bitcoin, we've seen this exact same blow off top being replicated. And that's why I believe, based off of how correlated the cycle is compared to the last 2 cycles, I believe we're going to see the exact same thing play out once again. Now, the reason I've got these targets is by simply taking wave 3, the low of wave 3, to the top of wave 3, back to the midway point of the sell-off, and this is how I'm getting these fib targets. So we're going to be looking to target the 4236 all the way up to about the 3618, which, if you guys remember, is about 290,000 per Bitcoin, all the way down here to about 250,000. So I've got my target by simply analyzing the pattern that is repeated every single cycle. Not only do we end up topping at the 3618 to the 4236 every single cycle, but if we measure the highs of each move, if we measure from here to here, all the way over, once again, we're going to be looking at the same time frames as well. From the top of this move all the way over to here, you're looking at about 1,477 days. 1,450 days is actually 4 years. So we saw an exact 4-year cycle top between this high to this high, and they also follow the exact same fib targets. And so if we follow the same thing again, 4 years in advance from today, or from the end of that last cycle, 1,450 days, you're looking at about right here approximately. We're looking at a cycle top somewhere in between the time frames of the very beginning of December once again. And so here's the thing, guys. We have followed the same time frames almost exactly, right? Almost the exact same time frames. Not only have we followed the same time frames between each 4-year cycle, but we're also getting almost the exact same cycle top in between each blow-off top. And so there's so many different forms of analysis that are correlating with why I firmly believe that we're going to be seeing this exact same blow-off top take place, and why we're going to see this market go up a lot higher than people are expecting. I mean, for Bitcoin to top sub 80K, you're looking at a move like this. Does that make a lot of sense to you guys? I mean, first off, Bitcoin in the bear market has never, ever, ever retested a previous all-time high. It never has. And so if we end up topping at approximately, you know, let's say that we top at 80K. An 85% correction, which is pretty customary. Let's just go to 80%. That's taking us below the all-time high. Bitcoin has never once done one of these, right? We've never once retested a previous all-time high. And if we draw a line over here, this was the all-time high here. This was the all-time high here. We never actually retest that all-time high. So by us topping sub 80K, that's showing that the next bear market's going to be taking us back into the previous market structure of the last cycle, which has never happened. On top of that, we know that in the blow-off top, it gets far overextended than most people expect. I mean, we're looking at a top between the 4236 and the 3618. Historically, has happened every single cycle high. And so another thing I want you guys to look at here, something that I think is really interesting, is the amount of time it took inside of that 2013 cycle before we got our blow off top. So if we come over here and we analyze the exact high of that move, that's going to be April the 8th. And we measure from April the 8th, or that cycle high, all the way over here to the beginning of quarter 4, that's going to be looking at about 175 days worth of accumulation from the midway cycle high all the way to the beginning of quarter 4. And then this was the move that we saw. We saw Bitcoin go from quarter 4 to the end of its cycle. It took 56 days to do the top of its Bitcoin cycle. Now, if we come over here and analyze what we're seeing in the current cycle, we analyze what we saw at the very top at 65K. We draw a line. That's going to be about April the 12th. And we come all the way over here until the beginning of quarter 4. You're looking at, once again, about 175 days. And it's not exactly 175 days. This is closer to about 171 days. But regardless, guys, we saw almost the exact same length of time in between each of these. We saw a move past the all-time highs, a big parabolic move past the all-time highs. We saw a midway cycle top. We saw a big correction that lasted 175 days, and then the beginning of quarter 4, we saw the massive expansion into new all-time highs and the end of that cycle top. Now, guys, what do we see once again? We see the all-time highs here. We see a big parabolic move past the all-time highs. We get our midway cycle top, and then we have 175 days, you know, approximately, of accumulation before we ultimately begin that fourth quarter. And so, guys, we just started for quarter number 4. Quarter number 4 comes into effect about right here. And in my opinion, we're going to see the same exact type of a move where we come rallying up super, super hard. And this is what takes us to the end of the year cycle top. That's going to be somewhere over 200,000. My guess is 250,000 to 300,000 per Bitcoin. A lot of people have doubted me. A lot of people have doubted me the entire cycle. I've been calling for ETH at $20,000 each since ETH was under $200. I've been calling for Bitcoin at 250K since we were all the way back down in here inside of the bear market, guys. This is just the way that the markets are going to work. They're going to far surprise you every single time. They're going to go higher than you expect. At the same time, they're going to go lower than you expect. So the best thing to do is simply stick to the analysis that seems to hold the most substance. And we've got a 10-year trend that we can analyze that shows us perfectly what is about to happen. And honestly, guys, the fact that it mimics this 2013 cycle so much, you know, we don't have to go quite as parabolic as this. We might top closer towards the end of December because there's a lot less liquidity that was in the market back here in 2013 compared to what we're seeing today. But nonetheless, guys, the fact that it looks this identical thus far, I think it's going to continue to follow pretty closely to what we saw here. And it's just amazing to me how the exact same amount of time this midway sell-off took until we hit quarter four, and then the quarter four blow-off top, is the exact same time frames that we're seeing here today. Exactly the same from point A to point B. There's literally no difference here. We saw the exact same symmetry. And I think that that's amazing, and it's something that we really need to pay attention for here. The cool thing is, look at this. Look at where we bottomed in this. We bottomed right here at about July the 1st. And then we had our first higher high. This was the low of capitulation. We made this sell-off. And then the bottom of this sell-off was actually the beginning of quarter four. And that's what led us to that blow-off top. Look right here in the recent consolidation that we saw. And we come right here. We're looking at about the midway point of July. So about a couple weeks, just under a couple weeks difference, but we see almost the exact same symmetry where we get about the 1st of July as that capitulation. We get about a couple weeks into July as that capitulation, but we also stayed at these lows for a lot longer period of time than we saw in the 2013 one. But then what immediately happened to Bitcoin after we capitulated in July? We made our first higher high and sell off. The exact same thing that happened over here. Now, this takes us to quarter four, guys. Quarter four was the exact low of this capitulation. And that's what took us from, about $100 per Bitcoin all the way up here to $1,150 per Bitcoin. The exact cycle low in quarter four started after we had already been uptrending. Once we broke out of this previous high at about 51,000, that was our quarter four, right? So we're already here inside of quarter four. We've already started to go up, and so we're actually going up a little bit quicker than what we saw in that last cycle. And so the time frames are once again almost exactly the same here. There's really no difference in between this. And so while while I might not agree with the thesis that we're going to be topping sub 80K per Bitcoin, it doesn't necessarily matter all that much. In my opinion, the market will prove what's going to happen at the end of the year. Once we know in a couple months in advance where the price is at, that's what we're going to know is what actually happened, right? We're going to know that Bitcoin goes up a lot faster than everybody's expecting. I mean, it's happened every single cycle. In my opinion, that should be our big focus here. When we look and see what happened in each cycle, we always expect to see this massive blow off top, and that's just a way a parabolic cycle works. We see a big run up, and then we get a final mania phase where the markets just go vertical, and that's what precedes our blow off top. The same thing happened here in 2017. We get these run ups, we get a sell off, and then we get to quarter four, and that's where we get this massive mania phase where the markets pretty much just go vertical. We're at this exact same moment of time in this cycle where we've had a couple run ups, and this is the part where we will expect to see that final mania phase and run up into the blow off top, which ultimately is going to be taking us upwards of 250K per Bitcoin. And I think it's going to get that extended. People are going to be surprised. It happens every single cycle. I was here in 2017 to understand. I was there from the very beginning in 2016. I watched how that entire market cycle developed. And I'm here to say that the time frames are lining up to be exactly the same. There's really no difference in between each of these cycles. And that's why I believe that we're going to see the same thing play out once again. And so, guys, hold till the end of the year. I think that the best strategy is once again going to be sticking to the time frames. Whether my price predictions are right, that's obsolete. The price is really obsolete in a cycle because of how quickly the price can go up or down. The volatility is going to be strong at the blow off top. And that's why I believe that the most consistent data that we have are going to be the time frames. We know that Bitcoin tops every 4 years at these exact same time frames. We know that this is going to be the case because every single quarter four leads us to that blow off top. And so it's going to get extended, guys. It's literally going to surprise everybody. It's even going to surprise me, even though I've had these exact targets, because look how crazy parabolic this looks. But look at this previous all-time high of the last cycle. It looks like a little blip in the grand scheme of things, right? This is what happens every single cycle. And if we come over here and go to the cycle top of 20,000, it looks about the exact same as the cycle top we saw in 2013. Where we see just a little blip in the grand scheme of things, right? And if we even come back and look at the previous cycle top, this one even looks a little bit smaller. This is what happens every single cycle. And so to bet against this, in my opinion, is kind of silly. For us to top prematurely would just be kind of an invalidation of a lot of different data points that we can go off of. And so nobody's really wrong or right. If you're making a profit, you're right. And that's the biggest thing to understand. No disrespect to any analyst that's going to actually call for a shorter cycle top. If you made profit, congrats to you. If you helped other people make profit, then you're an OG. And that's just the way it goes. I personally just have always structured my specific plan as nailing as close to the cycle top as possible. And I think that if you're selling, in October and, those early time frames, you're going to leave a lot on the table, especially in the blow off top, because that's where the majority of the price expansion happens. The majority of our profits are going to come in at that blow off top, and we should be ready and prepared to capitalize on that, because I'm telling you guys right now, I made the majority of my money from $3K to $20,000, where everything just went up in unison. It was the most amazing time in crypto history. And now we're preparing for an even bigger one than that. And so I just want you guys to be able to fully capitalize on it. At the end of the day, if you take some profits off the table early and you made a profit, pat yourself on the back, because you've done the thing that most people can't. I personally am just going to be holding a little bit more risky. I'm going to be holding until the end of the year. I'm going to be looking at nailing that cycle top. I don't have to get the exact cycle top, but if I'm holding past $150, $200 to $250,000, that money is going to come piling in, and I'm going to make a lot of profit in a very short amount of time, which is what my plan has catered for. So you guys follow me, you guys don't follow me, it's up to you. At the end of the day, you guys are going to know what my analysis comes into at the end of the year, whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong, whether I lose all my money. All of that fun stuff's going to happen regardless, and I'm just excited to be on this journey with you guys to really just experience what's going to happen together. Anyways, guys, if you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos. If you guys like what you watch, and you guys want to join the Discord server or download my free ebook, links are going to be provided for you in the description. You guys can also join my video course in Signals, my VIP group. This is where you're going to be able to find all the trades that I'm taking. We've had a lot of really profitable trades. If you guys want to know what I'm doing with my money as we prepare for this blow off top, Bitcoin's about to break all-time highs as we speak. So much new money is going to be coming into the market. Many altcoins are going to blow up over 10x, 50x, 100x. So if you guys want to be able to get in there, know what altcoins I'm trading at the end of the year, and most importantly, how I'm actually going to be selling all of my altcoins and Bitcoin at the end of the year, where I'm diversifying those profits into, definitely check this out, guys. It's going to be a great value, and I know it's going to help out a lot of you guys out there that maybe don't have the fullest picture of what to expect moving forward. Anyways, guys, links are going to be provided for you in the description to go ahead and check that out. I look forward to seeing you guys inside of my group, and with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.